trappings of death were covered by a state benefit, but she seemed to feel an obligation to her uninvited guest. She chose the second cheapest package offered and presented herself at the crematorium on the due date at the due time. As she had expected, she and the vicar were the only people there, the undertaker's men having left after depositing the coffin on the rollers. It was a somewhat harrowing service, conducted to the accompaniment of tape music. Elvis Presley sang Amazing Grace over the sound system at the beginning. The vicar and she struggled through the service and the responses together, while worrying independently if Billy Blake had ever been a Christian. And a Welsh male choir gave a harmonious rendition of Abide With Me as the coffin rolled through to the burners and the curtains closed discreetly behind it. There was little more to be said or done, and after shaking hands and thanking each other for being there, Mrs. Powell and the vicar went their separate ways. As part of the package, Billy Blake's ashes were placed in an urn in a small corner of the crematorium with a plaque giving his name and date of death. Sadly, neither piece of information was accurate, for the dead man had not been christened Billy Blake, and the pathologist had miscalculated on his temperature readings and underestimated the time of death by a few hours. Whoever Billy Blake was, he died on Tuesday, the 13th of June, 1995. The two visitors who came to view Billy Blake's plaque a few days later went unnoticed. The older man jabbed a stubby finger at the words and made a derisory noise in his throat. "See? What did I tell you? Died 13th of June, 1995. The friggin' Monday. Okay? Happy now?" "We ought to have brought some flowers," said his young companion, looking at the profusion of wreaths that other mourners had left in last respect to the recently cremated. "There'd be no point, son. Billy's dead, and I've yet to meet a corpse who appreciates floral arrangements." "Yeah, but nothing," said the old man firmly. "I keep telling you, the bugger's gone." He pushed the youngster forward. "Satisfy yourself I'm right, and then we'll be off." He glanced around with a look of distaste creasing his weathered face. "I never did like these places. It ain't healthy, thinking too much on death. It comes soon enough as it is." Despite having her garage cleansed 3 times in 6 weeks by 3 different cleaning companies, Mrs. Powell disposed of her chest freezer, shopped rather more frequently, and started parking her car in the driveway. Her neighbour remarked on it to his wife, and said it was a pity there was no Mr. Powell. No man would allow a perfectly serviceable garage to go to waste simply because a tramp had died in it. Extract from Unsolved Mysteries of the 20th Century by Roger Hyde, published by Macmillan, 1994. Missing Persons. Precisely how many people leave home for good every year in Britain remains a mystery, but if we define missing as whereabouts unknown, then the figure is believed to run into hundreds of thousands. Only a tiny percentage ever hit the headlines, and these are usually children who are abducted and subsequently murdered. Adults rarely attract attention. The most famous missing person of recent years is the Earl of Lucan, who vanished from his estranged wife's house on the 7th of November 1974, following the brutal murder of Sandra Rivet, his children's nanny, and the attempted murder of Lady Lucan. He was never seen again, nor was his body found, but there seems little mystery about why he chose to vanish. Less explicable were the disappearances of 2 other missing persons: Peter Fenton, OBE, a Foreign Office high-flyer, and James Streeter, a merchant banker. The Case of the Vanishing Diplomat, Peter Fenton, OBE. The disappearance of Peter Fenton during the evening of the 3rd of July 1988, only hours before his wife's body was discovered in the bedroom of their Knightsbridge home, created a sensation in the British press. The house was less than a mile from where the terrible Lucan tragedy had been played out nearly 14 years before, and the parallels between Peter Fenton and Lord Lucky Lucan were startling. The 2 men had moved in similar social circles, and both were known to have loyal friends who would help them. Each man's car was later found abandoned.